Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Let the record show that all members are present tonight, less Bill Stoner, and that the meeting was properly advertised and we had a short working session prior. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Okay, first thing we'd like to do is offer opportunity for public comment at the beginning and the end of each of our meetings. So I'll go ahead and offer that. I don't see anyone here from the public tonight, so again, we'll offer that later. First action item tonight is the approval of our minutes from the July 10th, 2024 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes. If so, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the minutes from the July 10th, 2024 meeting. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will jump to the next action item, which is the Wessler Tank or Task Order number 4, Frog Program. And Tony Green is here tonight in absence of Ryan Ottinger, and he's going to address the board. Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Good to have you.
This here's a request for Wessler Engineering. It's task order number 4 for the Frog Program in 2024, 2025. It will, I believe it's a budgeted item. It's basically for Wessler to assist the wastewater collections and the wastewater treatment in the ongoing implementation, I would say, of the Frog Program, which is the fats, rags, oils, and greases that are getting distributed in the collection system and into the treatment plant. I believe Wessler will be assisting us with a lot of educational material for the public to get out there, along with a lot of rules and regulations, within IDEM and the state to make this program a whole program on its own. In the past for 2 years, we've been doing this within the pretreatment program to a degree, but we're to a point now in Lebanon that it's probably time to make this a program on its own.
Deal. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I appreciate you explaining what FROG stands for. I think, I know that we've done some education to customers on this in the past. Is that right? With flyers maybe talking about the damage that these things do to the system?
To be honest, I don't know. It's not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Sandra.
Yeah, I thought I've gotten some, but maybe it's just my memory because I know we've talked about this before, but it's obviously important either way. So.
We've done some, and I last time Ryan came to the board, I think and this might jog Tony's memory, sometimes we have a lift station and the main's coming up the lift station. We can see fats, oil, and grease and rags, and we realize we can track it back to a district where there's a lot of fast food restaurants that have this grease, and we've talked to them and made sure they were emptying their grease traps. We can't make them empty their grease traps, but they're supposed to keep records, and the health department's over that. So we coordinate with the health department, and there's a problem lift station you have that's where it gets a lot. It's right near Walmart, I think. Is that one? That the one that has a lot of grease?
We definitely have a problem out there. Yeah. We also, to be fair with the industries and the restaurants, we have a problem on the residential side too. We have a lot of lift stations that are, and Cameron would speak to this better than I could, but that are residential only. And we have a lot of grease infiltration at the residence too, where I think maybe a better approach at the education side of it for, let's face it, for ratepayers, we're going to have to go after the education side of it on them. We can implement things through Lebanon's program and with IDEM's help on the industries and commercial.
So that's what you meant when you said that the frog program needs to be separated from the pretreatment program, that
Absolutely. We're currently, wastewater collections and wastewater treatment. We pretty much handle the pretreatment program within the wastewater treatment plant with the assistance of the collections department from time to time. And we're doing the best we can within that pretreatment budget, but that pretreatment budget gets ate up pretty fast these days when we have, I think we're up to like 6 or 7 significant users that are permitted under IDEM, along with a few others that are permitted through Lebanon's pretreatment. So it's, and I don't think anything's going to slow down either.
Yeah, I guess I would add that it sounds like what you're saying makes sense, because when you look at the pretreatment, you look at restaurants, it's more or less like a small producer, and you can sort of treat restaurants a little bit like the way you would treat an industry. But
Absolutely.
you have a residential problem, and that's going to require a different approach. That's not really pretreatment. It's going to be mailers. It's going to be education.
Sure.
Things like that.
Yep.
So.
I brought some photos that we could throw up here if you want to see some things. If not,
Well, we have a couple minutes if you don't mind throwing them up, if you know how to turn that machine
well, it's
device.
going to be up to Cameron and the tech team. Let's see here.
Well, that's
So-
Elmo or something. Go on.
So this is a weird lighting. This is down in the headworks of the wastewater treatment plant. This is where everything comes in from the city. What you see on this right through this channel, that is all fats, oils, and greases that are sitting on top of the channel. And that's approximately 10 to 12 foot deep right there. And it's probably a foot of it is grease and oils and not so good stuff. This is a manhole picture. I'm not sure where Cameron, which manhole this is, but this here is just solid grease that plugged up. That's, that channel here is actually, should be a flowing channel of sanitary sewer. And as you can see, it's pretty solid. So we spend a lot of time, Cameron's crew spends a lot of time with the vac truck trying to mitigate. And then,
Tony, what's the frequency? So you just took a picture where whatever lift station that was at. What's the frequency then that we would see something like that where Cameron and crews run around with a vac truck getting rid of all that? I know it varies because there's user variation, but it's multiple times a year, it's multiple times a month, it's once a week, it's.
Cameron can definitely speak to this, but it's definitely, it can, sometimes we run across 2 or 3 manholes in 1 week that we have struggles with from site to site, but Cameron can speak more on the manholes.
So the picture Tony just showed, that was a manhole that feeds primarily restaurants. There's a few residential on it. We got a call at 11 o'clock that night. We were out probably for 4 hours trying to clear the blockage. We monitor that probably once a month now to make sure that the grease is not backing up. But there are known lift stations that have grease build up in them that we probably try to vac every 2 to 3 months
Okay,
to keep it down. So.
okay. Thank you.
We've also got, I'll throw one more up here just to kind of put it in perspective. When we use the term rags, this is what we have on that. That's a pump that has been pulled out of a lift station that is pulled apart, and that's what's clogged up with. And those rags can be anything from your baby wipes, different things that don't break down very well. And a lot of those are grinder and chopper pumps, and they still don't eat them very well. So it's kind of where we've went with all this is we probably need to step up to the next level on this to kind of make it its own little entity and try to, this here costs a lot of money.
So are the protocols that they're going to put together, do they have teeth? I mean, are we going to be able to enforce against people, particularly industries that are not following these protocols that they put together? Because I worry that if it's just education, we're not going to see any value there. I mean, obviously it needs to be addressed.
Sure. No, absolutely. Our sewer use ordinance does support us in this endeavor. This is one of the assistances we will get through Wessler. And I think, Jeff can probably speak to this better than I can, but we definitely, when it comes to the commercial side of it, industrial side of it, there's a lot of legal issues in there, rules and regulations with the state, EPA, that I believe that we need Wessler on board because they deal with this in a lot of communities. Sewer use ordinance definitely supports us in all of this. The sewer use ordinance even has I want to cite the clause because I don't have it in front of me. But it basically says if anything that comes into the collection system and or the treatment plant that we think could harm our equipment, the piping, the pumps, anything, that we can take action.
So Tony's correct. The sewer use ordinance has a couple of elements in it. One, if it's got a surcharge that if their discharge is above a set amount, then they pay an additional rate. Then there are also penalty clauses, fines, and disconnects that we can go above and beyond if they're habitual or extreme offenders that violate sewer use ordinance in terms of what the discharge, including monitoring costs, staff time, et cetera.
So I guess then that leads to my next question is that what Wessler is proposing to do, is to help to implement the enforcement of the sewer use ordinance, or is this something else?
It will be, this task order is for Wessler's assistance in that, along with, I think what we're looking at, and maybe I should have said this a little differently, is in the beginning here, we're going to use Wessler for some of the educational purposes to really get it flowing out there. And then we're going to start with the inspection side of it. We really need to come up with a good protocol with some guidelines and criteria of how we go do inspections on grease traps, what kind of information we're going to request of these industries, restaurants, of how they have, let's just say one of the ideas is to have a manifest that we can go and see at any point in time of when the last time that somebody's pumped their grease trap, the company that did it, receipts and things like that. There's quite a few communities through Indiana that's got really good frog programs, frog. Elkhart's one of them. And I've discussed with them, it's been probably a good year ago or so, but they have a really strong program up there that they keep real good track of the people that do the pumping for these people, and then the manifest to document how these things happen. Because the sewer use ordinance and the standards, we implement 1,000-gallon grease interceptor. The problem is they can put a grease interceptor in, everybody can. If it's not getting maintained properly, it just, once that grease interceptor is filled up, it's just now spilling over to us. And it's, but I think that's where Wessler comes in all of this, is the education side of it. They have quite a bit that they've done for other communities so that they can tailor to our community. And then we're definitely going to need them on some of the implementation and probably enforcement.
Jeff, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, Tony, good discussion. I just wanted to add that when we talk about enforcement, we have a pretreatment ordinance to deal with the industries. We can inspect grease traps with restaurants, but if you have a residential subdivision that is feeding a lift station, it's really difficult to enforce against residences because somebody's flushing baby wipes, someone else is flushing grease, and when you have a clog, you can't trace it back because the baby wipe may have broken up, but it's going to come back together on rag. So there might be in the future an engineering fix. It might be that you need a lift station with a different type of chopper pump or a different type of sloping or like or some sort of something to deal with the grease. So I just want to make sure that if we came back for a capital project later, if that was the recommendation from Wessler or BFNS or staff, then
Absolutely.
that might be what happens. Is that, you agree with that or?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Jeff, I had a little bit of a discussion with Ryan about this, about whether our sewer ordinance needed to be upgraded, but do you feel like our sewer ordinance now will support the types of things that Tony's talking about?
So I would see this as being, yes, I would see this as being a potential amendment to our sewer use ordinance. If not, I would also favor a review of the sewer use ordinance in short order, making sure that especially the discharge volumes and requirements are up to par.
I think as part of this Wessler agreement too, is Wessler, I think, is going to help with that, right? Okay,
It's item 1 under their scope of services.
thank you.
Right, any other questions for Tony? All right, I think it's important that people are aware of the things they're putting in their drain and their toilets that they may think are safe to flush and oftentimes aren't, so good stuff.
Yeah, to your point, hey, I'm talking too much, I'm sorry, but they actually call them flushable wipes, and that really gets people like Tony and I upset because they call them flushable wipes, but they are not flushable.
There's a lot of things that are technically flushable, but we don't want them.
Well, they'll flush down the toilet and that's it. And then they're trouble, so. All right, any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve Wessler Engineering Task Order Number 4, Frog Program 2024-2025 for an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to approve the Wessler Engineering Task Order Number 4, Frog Program 2425 for an amount not to exceed $20,000. Any additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the approval of our claims, payrolls, and transfers for July 24th, 2024. Everyone had a chance to review those items, and if so, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims, payroll, and transfers dated July 24, 2024 in the amount of $698,668.58 for claims and payroll and $515,543.65 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated July 24th, 2024. Any additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll jump to other business. Anyone from the board have any other business they'd like to bring up tonight? Ed, anything from you? Okay. Offer public comment again, and I see none. Ed, anything you're aware of?
No, sir.
All right, next meeting is scheduled for the 7th of August, and that is possibly up for discussion because I'm not going to be able to be here on the 7th, but that could change if we decide to do that. Is that something we want to take offline or we can either operate on the 7th if there's a quorum, or we could pop it back a week to the 14th.
For what it's worth, I will not be in town on the 14th.
Okay.
I can make either day work. So.
I will be here on the 7th or the 14th.
And we can check with Bill to see if he's here. If he's here and willing and able, he can run the meeting in my absence. But we will plan on the 7th unless someone decides that we should pop it back a week. But for now, we'll plan on the 7th.
Do we anticipate anything of particular intense interest on the 7th?
I can think of right now. No.
Okay, some things we want to consider with everybody present, but if it's some things are pretty ordinary that doesn't require that, so.
Today's agenda was pretty light. If it's possible to push it off, we'll look at that as well. And you need to look and see what's in the hopper coming up, what our requirements are, and I'll get back to you on email.
All right. Anything else before we adjourn? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone. We stand adjourned.